We are now moving towards the next important Excel tool that we're going to learn. This is basically data validation. Be able to understand what this data validation does with the help of two examples that we're going to take. But just for you all to know the meaning as to what data validation does, this data validation helps in preventing the user to input any invalid data. Okay, so it will help you or give you an error message, or it will give you a warning that hello, you are putting in a wrong data, so kindly check it. Okay, so if there is something which gives you a warning that you're doing something wrong, it always helps, because at the end your output will come out wrong if you input wrong data. For example, if we were to input birth date over here, and let's say I put in this kind of a birth date. Now, many a times when you have lot of things to do and you have lot of data to input, you might by mistakenly input some wrong data which can affect your database. So rather, if I input something wrong like this, Excel will give me a warning and error message that you have put in the wrong data. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to validate our data with the help of Excel. So the system should automatically prompt you that that is not a valid data and should not allow you to go ahead. Okay, so that is what we're going to do now. If we were to include data validation to this particular cell wherein we want to enter the birth date, under the data tab, we need to click on data validation. Under data validation, again click on data validation, and as soon as you do that, you will be able to see this builder that opens up, wherein you're going to specify what kind of validation you want to provide to your data. There are these three tabs again. One is the settings, one is input message, and one is the error alert. We'll see all of them one by one. First, let's look at the settings wherein we are supposed to provide the validation criteria. It says allow. What should this cell allow? Should it allow any value, whole number, decimal, list, date, time, text length, customize? So what I want is a date, right? I'm going to enter a birth date. So I want it to allow only a date format. The data should be between, not between, equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. I want a date between a start date or an end date. So the date should fall only between those two dates. So obviously I'm going to select between. My data is going to be between a start date. Let's say I want that the start date of my database should be January 1st, 1900. Okay, so we can put in January 1st, 1900, and let's say I want the end date to be today, any day now. So I'll put a formula is equal to now and close the bracket. Okay, so this will basically start your date from any date from 1900 to date that applies today. Once you have done this, what you need to do is go to this input message. Over here, we are going to provide an input message as in what this cell does or what that particular data signifies. Here, we would write a message that enter your birth date. So in case if you are passing this database to any of your colleagues or your let's say customer, they would know that what this cell is supposed to do. Okay, so this is our input message. We would also give a error alert in case if there's anything wrong that they put in, they should prompt a message. So the title of the error alert would be, let's say, error in inputting data. I just escaped it. And the error message would say, let's say, please type a valid date between 01/01/1900 and today. This will be the error message in case if there's any error that happens. Once you have all these three things in place, what you need to do is click on OK. As soon as you do OK, you will find that the input message is clearly visible. It says enter your birth date. So if I were to input anything wrong now, yes, it clearly tells us please type a valid date between 1/1/1900 and today. This is supposed to be and I made some error, that's okay, and click cancel. So it gave you the error message when you put in something wrong. Let's say now if I put in 01/01/2000, does it accept? Yes, it does accept. No problems with that. So we have now successfully put data validation to this cell wherein we want that only birth date should be entered. We are now going to see one more example, which is more like a practical example, which could be the one you could use in your database. This example is basically giving us the city names, the country, the population of that particular city, the area, the population density. Now, if you observe, there is one set of data that is missing, which are basically the country names. So the country names are missing over here, and that is what is the objective. Our objective is to fill in the country names. One thing you will observe on this right hand side over here is that we have a master list of all the country names. So what you could actually do is manually look at the city, look at its corresponding country, and then fill in the data over here mechanically. For example, Shanghai city belongs to the country China. This is our master list, right? From this list we can easily identify that China is the country. So you can go here and type in China and do that work for all the cities. Now obviously this is very time consuming. You will have to use a lot of your head to determine which city falls under which country. Rather, what we can do is we can use or we can create data validation and have this entire master list as a drop down menu. So in case if you want to enter a country over here, we'll have a small drop down arrow. If we click on that, we'll have all the countries and you just need to tick it rather than inputting the data all by yourself. So let's start with this cell over here and do data validation. So go to data validation, again click on data validation. Now the validation criteria over here is going to be we're not going to allow any value, we're going to allow any list. Okay, so we want to allow a list which will be the master list of the countries that we have. Okay, now we need to select the source. Source is going to be the list. This is going to be the master list. The source is going to be this. Make sure that you select all the cells correctly. If you observe, we have started from I5. We have not included the heading country, because if you select country heading as well in the drop down, you will be able to see country as well, which we do not want. Okay, we just want the names of the countries which we have correctly selected. After you have done this, you need not give an input message or errorlet. If you want to specify, you can do that, but I would not need it, so I would say okay. As soon as you do that, you will find there's a drop down over here, and now you can easily select the country you want to. Let's say China. Okay, so you can select the country with the help of this drop down, which got created because of data validation. If you want this data validation to be copy pasted for all the other cities, the procedure is simple. We use copy and we paste. Okay, so this is how you can create data validation, and then you can copy paste it across for all the cells wherever you want the same data validation to be applied. This was about data validation. Let's now learn another important Excel tool.